Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Targett. I am one of the graduate assistants in the Office of Gift Planning, and I have with us today Mr. Billy Fornaro and his wife, Miss Ellen Fornaro. How are you guys?
We're fine, thank
We're
you.
fine.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today. We have two great McCallen members with us here today for one of our donor story series. And I was hoping we could start off with a little introduction and you guys can kind of introduce yourselves. Just let everyone know when you went to St. John's and a little bit about what you studied.
Okay. Do my wife first. It's ladies first.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ellen Fornaro. My best buddy, partner, and I met at St. John's back in 1976. We were in a management class together. It was in the summer session. So at that time they ran the first session usually was in St. John's Hall. We were business majors. I was an accounting major, and I believe Bill was going for a finance degree as this graduate level study. So anyway, the first session, of course, was in St. John's Hall, which was non-air conditioned. And then the second session, they ran a lot of classes in the second floor of St. Augustine, where the library is. And so in the second session, I was enrolled in a management course that was taught by Dr. Raymond McCallen. And that's where I met Bill, in that management class. And, it was like a 5-week summer session, 4 nights a week.
Right.
And, I sat in the front of the room, he sat in the back of the room. He used to wear a shirt that had the Mostly Mozart concert on it. So he was referred to as Mr. Mozart at times by Dr. McCallen. But be that as it may, over time, we saw each other on campus. And
St. John's University.
then, okay.
It's our daughter.
Hello.
Hi. So we saw each other, but we were scheduled to be in another class when the fall semester came. It was another management course, believe it or not. This one taught by Dr. Cusack.
I love Dr. Cusack.
Okay. The class apparently was too large, so it was split. And Bill happened to be sitting right beside me. He started talking to me when Dr. Cusack came in and announced that the class would be divided. And Bill happened, we had punch cards at that time that we used to turn in, when we came for the first class. So his number was one of the high numbers. So he and anyone with a high number were moved into the other class.
No.
But, over time we saw each other, like our paths crossed, when we go into or leaving class, we went at nighttime. And next time I really saw Bill again was at a singles dance in 1978. I had just split from dating another man for 5 years. And I decided to go down to a singles dance that was being run that night at the student union. And that's where I met Bill again. He was tending bar. I came in by myself. I sat down with some other gals who turned out to be women that Bill knew from classes at St. John's. And so I guess he assumed that we were all friends. But I just met those ladies for the first time that night too. So we started chatting and we were up dancing and the like. And then Bill asked me, I think he walked me out to my car and he asked me for a date the next night. And, that's how we started out together.
Wow.
Together ever since.
Right. And, we dated for 6 months and then he proposed to me on a horse-drawn carriage ride in Central Park 6 months later. And 7 months after that, we got married.
Awesome.
So, this year we'll be celebrating 42 years together.
Wow.
43 years
43
together.
years, sorry.
42 years married.
Yes.
Our daughter came in. She's special needs, by the way. Born in 1990.
Right.
That's our only child.
Now, as for myself at St. John's University, I actually started out as a music teacher.
Okay.
I earned my undergraduate degree from New York University. I went to the School of Education there. And then I went on to Queens College and I earned a master's degree in music ed there. I had taught for a while. The first couple of years, I worked in parochial school system for a year. And then I jumped to a public school system. That particular job did not work out. Of course, at that time, the school populations were declining because of the decline in the birth rate, and many school districts here on Long Island were just shutting down elementary schools. So, of course, the first areas that usually went were art and music and sometimes PE. So I substituted for a couple of years, and when I got into the second year of subbing, I decided that I couldn't continue doing this because, after all, I had student loans from my undergraduate years that had to be paid and the like. And so I decided to pursue a business degree. Now, my two brothers were both students at St. John's, and they happened to be in business school studying accounting. So they were sort of following my father's footsteps. My father was an accountant for many years, or auditor for the government. And so I decided that I would move in that direction. So when I substituted during the third year, that's when I had started at St. John's at night. So I decided to go in as a non-matriculated student to see, how I would fare. And I started off with an accounting course with Professor Stapleton. And my brothers knew of him and had him. Well, I think one of them had him. And I also started with a management class. And then I decided to pursue the degree. So then I applied to matriculate, and I finished my degree in June 1978 after 3 years at night in the summers.
Nice.
After graduation, it was a little harder for me to get a job in public accounting because I was in competition with everyone else.
Right.
So I was working at Dean Water at that time, and eventually I went to work for a magazine publisher as a staff accountant for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. And then from there, I moved on to the American Red Cross in Greater New York, where I started as a staff accountant and then worked my way up to being an assistant controller there. And I was there until maybe 1988. And then I moved over to another nonprofit for 2 years. And I left there. That's when my daughter was born. So Bill mentioned, has special needs, which manifested themselves when she turned 2. And of course, I since then, I've been her full-time caregiver and her primary advocate and the like. I was involved, with her schooling in the public school districts and active in parent-teachers organizations. And so that's pretty much it. She and I used to volunteer together at a thrift shop. So I did take my accounting skills and I used them for other things, like, in the thrift shop, for example, doing the daily cash counting at the end of the day, make sure that we balance out and things of that nature.
And she also manages our finances. It's like I make the money, you manage it.
Great.
Yes, I do the tax returns too.
And she manages the money. We're both retired now, so she still manages it.
Yeah.
So the accounting ended up coming in hand quite.
Definitely for her, yes.
And that's great that you were also able to spin your education and schooling to help your daughter out.
Yes, special ed needs are, quite interesting. And our daughter's condition is autism spectrum disorder. So there's still a lot of information coming out about, because more and more children are being identified on that spectrum. And, more scientists have taken an interest over the past couple of decades in investigating, like early intervention steps and so on. There still needs to be more research done for adults who have the disorder. But things change, and I think eventually we'll see more information coming out.
Yeah, and it's great to see that they are making progress and solving stuff like that. I think it's great.
Right.
And I didn't get to say it. Congrats on 43 years together. That's amazing. And the fact that you guys met at St. John's makes it even more special.
Yes, and we've been to almost all of the couples blessing ceremonies that they started. I believe back in, was it 2009, right?
Yes.
That they started.
Oh, the blessing of the couples.
Yes.
Yes. And we didn't get to have it in person this year, unfortunately.
That's okay. It was still better than nothing.
That's all right. We celebrated with the champagne that was sent to us.
Exactly. But yeah, so you've had quite the experience at St. John's. And then Bill, so you studied, if I heard correctly, you were studying accounting?
As an undergrad, yeah. I actually didn't start at St. John's. I was at Marist College for a year.
Oh, okay. So upstate New York.
And unfortunately, I think I didn't study too much. I enjoyed the sauce and the music a little too much.
Right. I think we all do sometimes.
I know it. And my parents yanked me out before I could get thrown out.
Mhm.
And so I had a choice of Queens College or St. John's. And I had been in Catholic school all my life. I heard about St. John's from the elementary school. The priest came to do the 9 o'clock mass that the nuns made us go to. And they also sponsored some other religious film strips and stuff. So I heard about St. John's.
Mhm.
First time I was ever on the campus, my dad and I went for me to enroll, speak to one of the advisors at the College of Business and apply. That was my first time I was ever on the campus. I drove on it once more, and the third time in my life was on the campus, my first day of school.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, there weren't the dorms. I missed the dorms from Marist. I mean, I would have lived at home anyway, but it would be nice to have a place to hang out.
Right.
And I wish they had, 25, 30 years earlier.
Mhm.
Glad they got
Yeah.
them now, because I know people that lived there and said they loved it.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to live in the dorms as a freshman, and I really enjoyed it. They were
From what
very
I see,
nice.
I've walked around the residential village when I get a chance, and really nice. Really,
It
really
is, yeah. They've done a very nice job of it. And I know the students enjoy it.
hmm And then unfortunately, I almost joined a fraternity, but I don't know if you ever were or not, but I never
Mhm.
joined. My
I
wife didn't, and her brothers didn't. I felt that, I just think they were a farce. It's like,
yeah. I never joined a fraternity. I was on the soccer team, so I didn't really get the opportunity to. But
probably
I
better,
guess you could. But the being on the soccer team was a great experience.
unfortunately, I don't have athletic prowess. But so I wasn't really into sports when I was there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an irony later, I'll tell you, as an alumnus.
Right.
But anyway, I did make a few friends as an undergrad, and then the Vietnam War was still going on. We hadn't pulled out until 1973. So this is 1971. And I picked the wrong day to be born, being like one of the first ones picked in that draft lottery.
Mhm.
But my parents wouldn't let me join a reserve unit or the National Guard. They said, you got to concentrate on school and all that. But I'm trying to tell them, you're throwing money away because, I can't be an officer, but I can just be a grunt, an infantryman. They're not choosy about that. Even with bad eyes, I couldn't do a lot of professions, but
Right.
with the infantry, they weren't fussy. It's just you're expendable.
Mhm.
So I joined the Air Force. I joke about it. I beat the draft the hard way by enlisting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I got my first base was a place I wouldn't waste my time visiting. It's one of those places that I joked about with the guys in my unit. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 0. And
Was in Louisiana.
Central Louisiana.
I was in Louisiana.
But never been there. You didn't miss anything.
Right.
And then I went to Guam. That's when I mentioned about the airport in San Francisco. I flew out to San Francisco Airport. We all got our bus, went over the Bay Bridge, through Oakland and Vallejo and up to Travis Air Force Base. Flew across the Pacific, and we skipped a day. Of course, the date line was I'll never forget, it was February 14th when we left California. And then when we landed, it was February 16th on Guam.
Mhm. And this was with the Air Force?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I was an E4, then, unfortunately couldn't be an officer, and then maybe it's just the same because I was there for 13 months when I found out from the first sergeant that they're sending me home early because the Air Force had a reduction in force and it needed as many people. And had I been an officer, I would have been booted out and they would have gone my career up in smoke.
Right.
Officers are the first ones to go. The last one's promoted, the first, especially for a non-flying officer, the last one promoted and the first one booted. So just the same, I got out like 4.5 months early. And then I flew back to Travis Air Force Base and then took the bus to San Francisco. And I hung around for several hours, took pictures. I bought of like the cable cars and some other things. And
sightseeing.
McDonald's. Walked around and said, yeah, this is really San Francisco. Yeah, I'm really here.
Mhm.
And then I took a bus from there up Interstate 5 to Seattle because I wanted to see what the West Coast looks like before I come home. Maybe settle here. So I did go to Seattle, nice city, visited the Space Needle and some of the other relics from the 62 World's Fair. And I probably went to the market down by the waterfront. And then flew over to Spokane, checked that out. I considered maybe living there instead of Seattle, but nothing became of that. And I came home and basically I've never been on the West Coast since. But then I found a job the following month to a headhunter in banking.
Okay.
But banks don't pay well. This bank paid really badly, and you had to work in a pretty lousy neighborhood too.
Mm-hmm.
And but then in August, I met that Irish-born lady, and I thought we would have hit it off. We did for a while, and then she wanted to go back to Ireland in 1976 in April, so that's what she did. I couldn't get her to stay, so my parents had, in the meantime, asked me to go back to college, go to grad school. I told them, no, actually, I hated school the first time. I didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go there. I hated it the first time.
Yes, but you had VA benefits.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this time, yeah.
Yeah.
So then when that young lady went back to Ireland, I had like really a big vacuum in my life. So I said, just to get my parents off my back, I'll go back to school. It was July 1976, the second summer session. That's when I went. I'll never forget parking my little Toyota in the back parking lot where the Father Murray, those apartments housing is, the south end of the parking lot on the quadrangle.
Yeah.
Great lawn. I remember parking the car, walking across the quadrangle. See, we called it the quadrangle.
Now we call it the Great Lawn.
I always say the Great Lawn's at Central Park. I always joke that maybe a lot of people didn't show up for the Great Lawn Park because they went to Central Park instead.
Right.
But seriously, it was always the quadrangle to me.
Yeah.
So I'm used to old habits die hard. But whatever you call it, I'm really apprehensive. What did I get myself into this time? So I went up, I was very apprehensive, got in the elevator, got off the second floor, and sure enough, this young lady was sitting in the first front of the class. He's kind of a cutie. Nice cute Irish American. Looks like an Irish American lad. Kind of maybe take the place of the young lady that went back to Ireland. But I said, I'm not going to push myself on her, because just in case, I had done something stupid like that 5 years earlier when I was an undergrad with one of the sorority girls. So I said, I want to have history repeat itself.
That's one right.
And that's why I sat in the back, because I wanted to be unnoticed.
Except when you wore the Mozart shirt.
Yeah, that's when Dr. McCallen asked about the mostly Mozart shirt.
He wore it on purpose to get your attention.
Probably, yeah, I think so. Because when that see, this is what I'm saying. Dr. McCallen asked, there were only 4 young ladies in the class in College of Business. And he even said, most of them are in St. John's College or the School of Ed. Now, he asked the 4 ladies. 3 of them went to St. John's as undergrads. Ellen did not. And so he asked them about, Miss Bannigan, Ellen Bannigan is her maiden name. And I said, nice Irish surname, nice Irish lassie. And she said she used to be a music teacher, but there's no jobs. I go, I love music and all. So this lady just might be right for me.
Right.
Little did I know how right I was. But another guy beat me to her in the summer session, taking her to the car and things like that. So I'm not going to push myself on her. This wasn't meant to be.
Right.
That's when I came back from vacation. I went to Ireland and England and Netherlands. Came back in September '76. That's when we were in Dr. Cusack's class, and that's when they split the class. So
Yeah.
oh well, not meant to be. At least not in 1976. And that's when 2 years later, my intuition told me to go to the alumni singles dance, and sure enough, there she was. I said I remembered her as a cute girl from Dr. McCallen's class, and we've been together, ever since.
Right. Going on 43 years.
But I was in grad school. I studied fine. I wanted a career in banking. And then with the time and the bank I didn't want to work for, I decided to become a grad assistant. So my last year, I was a grad assistant for my last year at St. John's. And I graduated in 1978 with Ellen. Then I went looking for a job, and headhunters literally wouldn't talk to me. I said I had no experience, especially in commercial bankers I wanted to work in. I was in a savings bank before. They thought I was out of work, and fired and just, lazy, loafing around, probably from the resume. But finally, one of the banks hired me as an auditor. Didn't not what I wanted. Then I just kept looking around for the perfect banking job. Then I found out, I hate to say, but a lot of them didn't have the discriminate against, people. If you're too ethnic or something like that, Not everyone. I always joke, they're equal opportunity employers, but not everyone had the same amount of equal opportunity.
Yeah.
But anyway, in one of the major banks, they said, why don't you go into computers? Data processing and auditing. I said, okay. And they said they were going to pay for my schooling and all, to go take the information systems degree. And then they're going to get my transfer to the data part. Okay, so that sounds too good to be true.
Right.
And like they said, it was. I was getting booted. I wasn't good at backstabbing or sucking up to people. So anyway, I went to another bank, and then finally I did get the dream job. in 1987. The computer, mainframe computers, data processing, auditing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I found out that I never should have been there.
Oh.
And that lasted a year and a half. And then I was in temporary work. This is 1989. And then Ellen found out she was pregnant with our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I said, this isn't good. I might have to be a house husband because headhunters, people wouldn't hire me, because I had been fired and too many jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then in late 1989, I got hired as client accounting for a law firm. The firm was Shea and Gould. And I always joke, yes, that Mr. Shea.
Shea Stadium.
That's right. I even joked about it. I said, it's like the stadium, right? And he told me,
Yeah.
they said, yes, like the stadium. I thought it was just for the spelling. And then when I went to the lobby in October of '89, I just checked, I went like to the director just to make sure I'm in the right place and everything. And I saw William A. Shea. Then it clicked.
Wow.
That's the man himself.
Wow.
And I stayed there till they went out of business in 1994. They solved the partnership, stupid. Then I went across town to Clifford Chance, Rogers and Wells, stayed there for 11 years until they downsized. I was in client, I deal with the partners, directly, like billing our clients.
Mm-hmm.
I also started playing softball again in
Right.
2001. And I remember I got her, I kind of got her permission because I'll be out a week, get one game a week. It's one extra night a week. I'm not home. Plus, I'm also active at home in some activities I'll lead up to later.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget when the first game, we were up in Central, going to go up to Central Park, and we took a car service up. I went with my teammates up Park Avenue, and I'm saying to myself, what kind of a mess did I get myself into?
Yeah.
I'm going to make a fool out of myself
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have athletic prowess, which is true. I never did.
Yeah.
I only made the intramurals, in elementary school, never made the CYO teams. But we had my first game and my rookie season, and I hit safely, I think, in that game that I played in. I caught behind the plate, and I did okay. No pass balls or anything like that. I don't remember if we won or not.
Discovering your athletic prowess.
Yeah, not really.
Actually, he has skills as a scorekeeper.
Yes, that's later. That's later. That's my last firm that I retired from. But okay, I enjoyed the rest of the season. Went back the following season. It stayed till they downsized in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And I played for part of the season in 2005 as an alumnus. Then they said, we have some associates coming in, so no more alumni. They get priority. I said, okay, I understand. But I thank you for having me for a few months. I really enjoyed playing for you. I would take off from work from the next firm, Proscar Rhodes, LLP. I was there for almost 3 years, and I got the worst boss I ever had, totally incompetent, and was on her hit list. I used a different word, extra couple letters in front, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And then I got a couple days later, I got hired as a temp for the firm in 250 Park Avenue called Epstein, Becker and Green.
Mm-hmm.
I started as a temp. I'll never forget. Day one, it was day after Christmas, 2007. I'm walking in. The agency said, "Wear a suit, just to make a good impression on them."
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds fair enough. With my trench coat on, then I noticed all my coworkers are wearing business casual. Even my boss said, "You don't have to wear a jacket and tie." Okay.
Wow.
Next morning, I came in wearing my usual winter business casual, like a flannel shirt or a rugby shirt, sweater, corduroys, and I had my fire department jacket.
Right.
And a baseball cap. I don't think I ever wore a suit, a jacket, and tie to work again until ever.
Really?
For the next 12 years.
Yeah, I think overall, that's the kind of direction everything's going. It's like everyone's.
I hated jackets and ties.
Yeah.
I had to wear them for 12 years in elementary Catholic school because I hate them.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that happens to a lot of kids.
I know. But anyway, I did well at this firm, and then came spring, I joined their softball team. I started keeping score for them too, besides being like an extra hitter, occasional outfielder.
Yeah.
And kept coming back every season. Then in fall, I joined their basketball team.
So you are discovering an athletic
elementary
prowess.
school. In
Yeah.
I'll never forget, we were up, I think, at the Dalton School doing a layup drill. I didn't know what to do. I said, what do I do? I've never done this before.
Right.
I mean, hitting the elbow with a ball, something like that, because I didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I still played. I had fun. I don't think LeBron James is going to come looking for me as a teammate.
Right.
Yeah, I know. But I still had fun. I even got in 2009. our team played at Madison Square Garden, like the lawyers and business,
Really?
Yeah, it was in April. Unfortunately, my father died a few days before.
Oh.
So I couldn't go to the game. The day that I was going to take off to go to Madison Square Garden was my dad's wake, so I missed that. But when I did play the following year, we made it. In 2010, I played on the Garden. I said, this is the same court that the Knicks play, St. John's plays, where I saw the Rangers in the play, New York Rangers. When I was younger, the circus. And music, I saw Eric Clapton and Cream perform there. And, so I was, wow, I'm actually on the same court. We lost, I remember 51-42. I recorded my blog, but I had fun. I played until I retired, a couple of weeks before I retired at the end of 2019. So I played softball till 2019, total of about 12 seasons, same thing with basketball. In the last season, I was on the injured list, disabled list. I got hurt. So, walking home towards Penn Station, behind Macy's, somebody knocked into me. The guy much larger than I am knocked into me. I fell on my elbow and I had a hairline fracture.
Wow. So did you eventually discover any athletic prowess? Not
well enough to make the pros, but enough to have fun.
Right. Well, thank you guys for both sharing the life and career stories. It was jam-packed full of everything. So I kind of wanted to bring it back to St. John's really quick. So do you guys when did you guys first become a part of the McCallen Society?
How many years ago, dear? A few years ago. Back up 3 or 4 years ago, right now?
Yeah, it was mainly you.
And then Ellen, we updated our wills that if I'm the last one standing, St. John's is going to get a certain percent of my estate.
Well, I think we both have remainder trust.
That's what they call it, yes. But I have 5% of St. John's. I love baseball. 20% of it goes to the Cooperstown, the American Museum in Cooperstown.
Yes, the Hall of Fame.
Our 3 nephews each get 20%. And a few other things. St. John's and most of my high school kids. A certain amount. But Hershey gets a little bit more. Our nephews and then 20%, just like me. But yes, the other 40% divvied up a little differently than I do.
I have it divided among my 3 schools.
Yeah. So I think it would be, I wonder if there are any other McCallen Society members that are husband and wife and met each other at St. John's. I'll have to ask Susan about that. I'm sure Susan would know.
Yes, I got the feeling there are.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's really nice to see that you guys met at St. John's. So kind of like a fun question. Susan always asks me to try to challenge the people on the phone with a little bit, and she always likes asking the question of if you two guys were sitting down with someone who was considering to become a part of the McCallen Society, how would you maybe go about convincing them if they were on the fence of whether they should join or not? And it's kind of just like, what is being a part of the McCallen Society mean to you?
Well, for us, you can donate money when you're passing. Like I hate to say, I tell people, like right now I'm retired, I'm on a fixed income, so is my wife. So right now I hate to say, I tell them I need the money more than anybody else does.
Yeah.
But when I'm alive, we have, living on Long Island's expensive. We don't have an empty nest. It won't be for a while so she goes to a group home. So for me, and us, we have to watch our pennies.
Right.
When we're gone, our daughter will probably get something as a trust, right, El?
Yes.
And then the rest of St. John's will get a percentage. I tell them that's what the McCallen Society is for. So we can't join the Lockland Society. I hate to say it, but we can't afford it. I had, I always say I had a good job, especially for the last 30 years of my professional life at the law firms, but I didn't want to try to go any further after the bad experiences in that computer EVP auditing, gambled and kind of lost. It was like a job I never should have been in.
Right.
Like, they always said nothing ventured, nothing gained, but I said nothing ventured, nothing lost. I mean, because the thing was, it took a while to bounce back. Yeah, so I didn't want to try any new careers or anything like that. Plus, I couldn't, the cost of schooling, I couldn't afford it anyway.
Right.
So I'm going to be content to do what I'm doing now and just not venture further. Just do what I am. Stick with it. Because, you know, just the bad experience before, you know, in the late 80s.
Right.
So, but I did well. As my friend who I met from St. John's, who's a professor now, said, you did well. You know, I said, okay, you know, I did. You know, I with his wife together forever. I had a decent job. Still a volunteer firefighter here in Islip, believe it or not. No, I'm not as active as guys half our age, but I'm still a member.
Right.
And when I joined that, I asked myself, what did I get myself into? You know, it's a little apprehensive, you know, in 1985, because nobody in my family had ever been a member. And I said, I'm just going to give it a try and see if I like it. And it turns out, I guess I did. But
I think also in the bill, another way of saying it is that everyone cannot be a CEO or a president or something like that. And we need all our support workers too, because everyone contributes something valuable.
Right.
And obviously the COVID crisis could show that, prove that. The frontline workers, the nurses, the licensed practical nurses, the emergency room staff, besides the doctors, of course.
Yeah.
You know, the paramedics, the emergency ambulance crews, they're the ones that really were the heroes and not the CEOs and the stockbrokers and all. I thought 9/11 would have proved that. I guess apparently not. You know, some people feel like at 9/11. I think we missed the firefighters and the police officers that were killed when the buildings collapsed. I mean, even more so than the stockbrokers and all, even though we missed them too. You know, I mean, I think it had a more devastating effect, you know, with the firefighters and the police officers that were killed. You know, a lot fewer too. So, you know, I don't think New York was ever the same after that.
Okay. All right.
Green t-shirt.
Okay. Anyway, so, but
yeah.
I said I did well with the hand I was dealt, which I think, you know.
Guys, come away,
In
Dad.
fact, I saw one of my guys I went to high school with. I remember him. He was a freshman year with me, but I knew him from activities.
Yeah.
He was like a very intelligent man, very athletic. Had a lot of friends and stuff, but it turns out he must have met some wrong people when he graduated. He was in like a crime family and died in prison a few years ago.
Oh man.
And I said, man, like, with the hand he was dealt, I would have loved to have had that.
Cut the scissors.
I was stunned to hear that. So very sorry to hear, you know, sad to hear it. I told some of my classmates, get a load of this. This is, you know, I couldn't believe this.
That's all right, Mom.
I mean, to see he had a, you know, had a lot going for him that I think he threw away.
Yeah.
Well, you can work on.
So if there was, let's say we were pre-COVID times, was there a favorite event that you were able to attend at some point while you were
like the mass they had, and then the dinner, you know, the luncheon at the Angeles Center. I also remember meeting them at Lincoln Center after work when I was still working. That was several years ago. I met people at Lincoln Center. It didn't stay too long because of the train schedule. I had to get, you know, get home at a reasonable hour because I had to get up early to go to work, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't miss that at all.
Yeah, and I know it's such a shame that they haven't been able to do any events this year, and that's why we've been trying to do a lot of virtual stuff like this, like the conversation we're having now, or the power hours that we have every Tuesday.
That's fun. I do that once in a while. But power hour, what is that? What now? I've gone. Also, I'm thinking of something else. The exercise hours too.
Yeah. So we
done that too.
Yeah, the exercise classes are great. We have Josephine.
Yeah.
We have Meredith Amato, and they run 2 great classes.
Yeah.
And yeah, the power hours we do every Tuesday. So hopefully this pandemic is over sooner than later, and we can return to some of the in-person events, like you said, like the Lincoln Center gathering or the luncheons that Susan and Sue put together. So yeah, it's been a great time talking with you and your wife. I know I enjoyed the conversation, and I'm sure that our fellow McCallens will enjoy the conversation.
Just move a little closer.
So do you?
Says goodbye to my daughter. Says goodbye.
Oh, bye.
Off camera.
Yeah. So I just wanted to thank you and your wife again for joining me today. I'm sure our fellow McCallens will enjoy watching this.
Okay, thank you very much. And hopefully we will have something in person. I have gone onto campus by myself a few times to just walk around, get my exercise, bring my camera, do a photo op. if you're on Facebook with me, I do have, you can join my circle there, and I do mount pictures on albums.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Under Bill Fornaro, not William. I don't even answer to William anymore.
Okay.
Not Billy. Even though some people call me Billy, like my
Mhm.
relatives and the guys on my firehouse, but I'm Bill. It's in the Bill Fornaro, and
Gotcha.
reckon I'm wearing like a Mets hat. I got the St. John's like for the 150th anniversary, like the not my picture, but the background. Like the
Yeah, the cover photo.
that's then you got the right guy. So
Yeah.
send me a friend request and I'll answer you. And you can look at the pictures. I think there's a couple of them that I have albums of visiting St. John's this
For
year,
sure.
late last year.
For sure. But thank you again. This was honestly great. I really enjoyed hearing like the whole story of the Air Force to banking to softball and basketball. It was a lot of fun. So thank you again.
Alrighty, and hopefully I'll plan to walk around St. John's again, just for myself, because I enjoy getting my exercise, and also the side trip to Mount St. Mary's to visit my parents' graves. So
Mhm.
both very in Flushing, where we were from,
Mhm.
and go visit, side trip, go also hopefully take in full game City Field, even by myself.
Right.
My
And there are a lot of
yeah,
things to look forward to.
yeah, definitely. Okay, and see you guys, soon. I hope.
Hopefully sooner than later. So have a good one.